Hey guys, Ryan with Cycle News. We just finished up a really fun day riding the 2023 XR150L. This is a relatively new bike. It's a new bike for the US market, but it has been around before. You may remember it as a very similar cousin to the CRF150F, which used to be a trail bike for Honda. It kind of got discontinued when all those bikes became the 125, the 250. Those are now the trail specific bikes for Honda. This bike though, the XR150, was still available in other markets like Asia and Latin America, and they're super popular there for transportation and things like that. You've probably seen some of those things tricked out on Instagram. Those are my favorite posts to see. But what's cool is Honda's bringing this bike back to life really, and bringing it back to the United States as the XR model. So it'll fit in kind of with the XR650. That's kind of the same branding, same styling, colorways and things like that. So it's gonna fit in with that. It's not fuel injected like the CRF line. It's still carbureted, but really cool. And the best part I think is the MSRP is under 3,000 bucks. So what you get for this bike and for it to be all under 3 grand is a huge plus in my book. So kind of think about what Honda's done with the mini moto department. You have the Navi, you have the Ruckus, you have the Grom. Think of that mindset and then drop that into the off-road scene. So that's kind of what the XR150L is kind of going at. New riders, people who are wanting to add another bike to their garage, but not wanting to break the bank and still get a lot of fun features that are just going to be reliable and fun to ride. That's kind of what the XR150L is. Under 3 grand, mini moto, small displacement, fun, easy to get around, and then that's kind of why they're bringing it back. Let's get to some specs. Starting up front, you get the 2.8 gallon fuel tank. We did almost 60 miles today and had no issues with fuel. We didn't even stop to check. Up front, the dash, there is no fuel gauge, so you will kind of have to check it on your own and feel it out. But yeah, we did 60 miles plus today and had no issues with fuel. Not a plastic tank. You do have these plastic radiator shrouds, even though the bike's air cooled, no radiator. It does feel very skinny and narrow up in the tank. Looking at the bike, I thought it was gonna feel wide, but when you ride it, it actually feels really narrow. Obviously, we're not going for huge performance gains here, but it is nice that the bike feels slim and easy, agile to move around. Continuing with the specs, you have a 149cc single cylinder engine. It's the air-cooled classic Honda engine. These things are virtually bulletproof. Growing up, my family actually had the 150F. It was one of my little brother's bikes, and my mom would learn to ride on it. Our friends who didn't ride would come to the desert with us and they would learn how to ride on that bike. I don't know if we ever even did an oil change in the amount of time that we own that bike. These things are bulletproof engines and super reliable. You get a 240 mil disc brake up front. It is drum brakes in the rear, no ABS, nothing like that. It's really simple. They work good. You can skid the rear a little bit if you're not careful on the street, but like I said, 3 grand, you're not gonna get ABS, you're not gonna get traction control, things like that. It's very simple, but it works well. You get this cool rear rack that's included. That's a nice addition to have on the bike for kids going to school, or you put your groceries on the back, things like that. There is a full line of accessories available from Honda, and I'm sure other aftermarket manufacturers are gonna throw in some bags and be able to accessorize this bike, which will be really cool. But to have the rear rack included is really nice. All right, and the shorter riders will rejoice. There's a 32.8-inch seat height. This thing is really low to the ground. It's nice and stable. It's planted to the ground and really easy to ride. I think anybody who is a new rider is gonna like that. A lot of ladies are here on the trip with us as well. Female riders who aren't too familiar with riding in the dirt, they're definitely cutting their teeth today. They did great, and to be able to have that lower seat height is really nice to get on over the bike. For new riders, I'm a little bit taller, but still the bike fit me really well. It's super comfortable to ride. It has this step seat in it because you can ride with a passenger. And what's cool about that step seat is it really holds you in place. So you feel comfortable, you feel locked into the bike. You don't feel like you're riding way up on top of it. You feel like you're riding in the bike. Low seat height, you can touch the ground real easy. If you're in the dirt and you're gonna tip it or you're putting your foot out, super easy. Love the low seat height. Okay, so how does this thing work? Like I said, we're not going full performance spec on this thing. You kind of know what you're getting into when you get an XR150L. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. This engine is virtually indestructible, really hard to stall. I think I was trying to stall it today and it was almost impossible to stall. So really fun. You're gonna get on this thing and you're gonna be able to teach a first timer, or if you're somebody who's experienced and you wanna have an extra bike, it might be a little bit too big to be a pit bike, as much as I would love to carry this thing around to the races with me. But to go camping and throw this on the back of your RV or bring it in the trailer, it's got a plate on it. So if you need to run to the store or you wanna go on your way back and find some fun dual sport trails, or even if you just have this as your second bike at home to run around town, we could still top it out at about 65 miles an hour on a downhill today. So it definitely has speeds to be able to run on the freeway. If you need it, you're not going to want to commute a long freeway ride, but if you needed to jump on the freeway a few exits, this bike can definitely handle it. It's super smooth. It's not going to get away from you. I mean, we had this thing fully wedged on the streets today and a little bit in the dirt. It's not going to get away from you, which is really takes away that intimidating factor that a lot of riders feel when they're getting into riding, along with that low seat height. It's just, yeah, really great bike to learn on and to add to the arsenal. My only complaint that I would have today is just the foot pegs, but for $100, you're going to throw an extra set of larger foot pegs on this bike. You're going to solve that issue. You could have this bike and probably never touch it as far as maintenance goes, and this one would run forever. Really impressed with this bike. All right, guys, that wraps up XR150L 2023, new model. What you see is what you get. Really fun bike, under $3,000, can't stress that enough. Really fun to ride, virtually indestructible. I'm hoping we get one of these to take back home because I would love to rip around town on this thing. Thanks guys for watching. You'll be able to find a full write-up of this in Cycle News magazine, available every Monday night for free at cyclenews.com. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Check us out on the website at cyclenews.com, and we'll catch you guys at the next one.